What's going on, guys? Welcome to the circus, and today we're going to be listening to the Attorney General. His interview with Laura Ingraham has been around for quite a while. If you haven't been able to catch it, I recommend that you get the entire interview in full. I'll leave a link in the description. He talks about much more than what we're going to be talking about in this short video. So what are we going to be talking about in this short video? Well, we're going to talk about when's the indictments? Why aren't there any indictments? I'll believe it when I see it. So, first things first. Why do people not think that there's going to be any indictments and that nobody's going to get in trouble? Well, the reason is because Donald Trump's been in office for 3+ years, and according to them, I'm putting bunny ears up, nothing has happened. So, before we listen to Barr, let me just give you my point of view on things. The day that Donald Trump took office, the vast majority of the country had still not accepted that Donald Trump had just taken office. This is how far behind the American people were in the message that they inevitably needed to get out, which was a complete inversion of reality. So in order for, say, any person that was involved in the prior administration to be held to account, that was absolutely impossible day one. Most people in the country hadn't even accepted that Donald Trump was president yet. Every corner he turned, he had subversion. So what do? Well, the first thing you have to do is you have to completely overhaul the justice system. The next thing you do is you have to wait on all of the people who are in your own party that do not support your mission to get out of office. You have to use whatever political will that you have to get them out of office. The next thing you have to do is completely clear out the bureaucracy. Now, this is the most difficult part. Why? Because they're not elected. These people can be in their position for decades. They work for all presidents, both sides. They are the bureaucrats. I call them the senior executive service, although there are people who are like GS-13 and below that are still causing issues inside the bureaucracy. But this was the big one. And just recently, actually, a little while after I made my video on senior executive service, he got rid of them. So now the majority of the people that are inside the party that don't support him are out. Now he's inserted so many judges now that he's actually changed America's judicial landscape, including a recent appointment to DC's Circuit Court of Appeals that has everyone up in uproar. But that's not to say they weren't doing anything during this time. During this time, they allowed what I call soft disclosure. As one side continued pumping lies out of the media, the other side slowly and calmly pointed out inconsistencies. And the American people aren't dumb. The IG reports, the Nunes letter, Trump's Twitter feed, and although it may drive some people insane, they also use Q. all of these things, their political soft disclosure, not only did they have to change the entire landscape of the bureaucracy, otherwise no prosecution would have been possible. You also have to think about where is this going to play out and how. And the problem is that it's going to play out in the media. The media is the final step. And the American people trust the media right now less than they ever have, while Trump enjoys his highest approval ratings. This entire time, after the Hillary Clinton email scandal, after the IG Horowitz report, after the Huber report, they just now released, the IG did a investigation of a random selection of FISA applications, and basically all of them had errors inside of them. If you line up the IG reports, the Nunes memo, and the most recent reports on the FISA abuse, and you read them to yourself, I don't know how anybody on the planet Earth could not see that there are charges coming down the pike. The day that Horowitz released his report saying that he found no political motivation behind them, he couldn't prove that, and that it all could have just been because they're functionally stupid, both Barr and Durham came out publicly and disagreed with Horowitz's final findings. And listen, that was a big deal. Neither one of these guys beat around the bush. For Durham and Barr to come out and publicly make those announcements immediately after Horowitz's report came out, it sent a very specific message that they disagreed with the one thing that prevented crimes being described in the IG report, right? Because the IG report, Horowitz made the assertion that he was unable to determine if it was because of political ideology or just plain stupidity. Okay, that's why no charges were made in the IG report, because he couldn't tell if they were doing it out of political intent or if they just are so stupid that they made that many mistakes. What was it? 17 findings, I think it was. So at the end of the day, the reason why there haven't been charges is because America wasn't ready for charges. I'll tell you right now, there are going to be charges coming. Are we going to be disappointed? I think, yeah, there's going to be a lot of people that will never be satisfied from this mess. And I feel like those people actually, they're somewhat justified, because the kind of justice that we really deserve out of this situation would end up, it would create upheaval that I don't know our country could recover from. So anyways, my message to people who think nothing's coming and nothing's happening is, go read the IG report yourself. Go read the FISA reports yourself. Go read the most recent IG report that came out. And listen whenever Attorney General Barr is talking, because he's not a man who minces words. That being said, let's listen to what he has as an update to the investigation.
What can you tell us?
Well, I think a report, may be and probably will be a byproduct of his activity, but his primary focus isn't to prepare a report. He is looking to bring to justice people who were engaged in abuses if he can show that they were criminal violations, and that's what the focus is on. And as you know, being a lawyer yourself, building these cases, especially the sprawling case we have between us that went on for 2 or 3 years here, it takes some time. It takes some time to build the case. So he's diligently pursuing it. My own view is that the evidence shows that we're not dealing with just mistakes or sloppiness. There was something far more troubling here, and we're going to get to the bottom of it. And if people broke the law, and we can establish that with the evidence, they will be prosecuted.
The president is very frustrated. I think you obviously know that about Andrew McCabe. He believes that people like McCabe and others just were able to basically flout laws, and so far with impunity?
I think the president has every right to be frustrated, because I think what happened to him was one of the greatest travesties in American history. Without any basis, they started this investigation of his campaign. And even more concerning, actually, is what happened after the campaign, a whole pattern of events while he was president. To sabotage the presidency, and I think that, or at least had the effect of sabotaging the presidency.
Will FISA abuses really be prevented going forward, given what happened here, where FISA judges are not given critical pieces of information, material facts about evidence that inform the government's okaying the surveillance of American citizens?
I think it's possible to put in a regime that would make it very hard either to willfully circumvent FISA or to do so sloppily without due regard for the rights of the American person involved, and also to make it very clear that any misconduct will be discovered, and discovered fairly promptly. So I do think we can put in safeguards that will enable us to go forward with this important tool. I think it's very sad, and the people who abused FISA have a lot to answer for, because this was an important tool to protect the American people. They abused it. They undercut public confidence in FISA, but also the FBI as an institution, and we have to rebuild that.
There's so many different things in there that you have to pay close attention to, and you have to really understand what's being said to really understand the weight that's behind his words. But you've heard several things that I hope anybody who listens to my channel would have keyed on immediately. He said this sprawling case, his arms went out. That's because they went all the way to Italy researching this case. And they know that it, as he said, lasted for 2 or 3 years, both before and after the presidency. He called it a travesty, and he said that it was meant to undermine the presidency, or at least it had the effect of undermining the presidency. I think that the key is for us to temper our expectations, because like Barr said, he still approves of FISA. So if there's anything you need to know about Barr, you just know they found that they made 17 different errors on the 4 FISAs that they used to spy on Trump. Then the DOJ does an audit on, just a random sampling of their FISA reports, and none of them pass. And Barr still, with his toad face, says, yes, it's an important tool that we'll figure out a way to put a safeguard in there. This will never be abused again. Which is, of course, asinine, and it will be abused again. But you definitely should not be giving up here, because the people are going to get charged for this. If I was John Brennan or Clapper or Yates, if I was Page or Strzok, I would not be feeling good right now. I'm just telling you. Like, it's not a good place that these people are in right now. They are in the hot seat, particularly Brennan, because the word is that he's the one that has not been interviewed, and that is not good. if you and all of your cronies are all involved in something, and every one of them goes and talks to the feds, and you don't, that's not good. Brennan is not in a good place. Clapper is not in a good place. Comey is not in a good place. And the thing is that all of them aren't going to go down, but there's going to have to be justice. So the interesting question is not what or if, but who. That's the interesting question. These investigations have not stopped ever, and they're serious investigations, and they don't leak. And because they don't leak and they move slowly, and they have to establish precedent, and they have to establish a timeline of facts and events in the record, it's it seems like this slow machine that just never gets to the point. It seems like whenever good people are being screwed with, everything happens quickly, but whenever we want to, bring justice to these people who have done this, it's taking a long time. But you just have to look at the ball of string that these people had to unwind. It's much more complex. Do you think it'll just be some low-level guys? Do you think Barr is serious about what he's saying? Comment below. Like, share, subscribe. I'm gonna link up all the IG reports because, man, read up.